Wow, Patty. Thank you for sharing that, though. It is the hookup on Triple J. Look, I think we can do so much better when it comes to a pet date than that right now. Joining me is dating coach Sharam Namdarian. Sharam, wow, I just don't even know where to start with that. But
Yeah,
put your bird in
I
a
am.
very different room.
I too am in shock. I'm just like, that is the most intense story I've heard. I'm like, poor bird.
Oh my goodness. And like, yeah, but let's just keep meeting up.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. Look, suggest some pet friendly dates, some really nice places to take your pet and treat it well.
Oh yeah. Like let's the change the tone. Well, here's the thing, right? Like apart from hookups where you might come home and there are different oddities and stuff like that at home, like birds or lizards or ferrets or whatever you might have. Most of the time, the only pets you might see outdoors are going to be dogs, or the unless you are the kind of person who does walk your cat. So really, at the end of the day, the best kind of from my opinion, pet date would be one where that particular dog, or if you're walking your cat, can come. So it's like either a walk, either beach or somewhere where or more specifically, a cafe that is either dog or pet friendly, or outside. Like there's a number of bars and stuff like that that are also dog friendly, that are generally have an outside area. But
Yeah,
that outside, it makes it also casual. Like it's nice. It takes the pressure off. You've got your animal there. It's daytime, so it doesn't have that it's sexy night vibe. Where might this go? So you can genuinely it gives you a position where you can connect more. And if a pet is something that you love, or your particular best friend, it's like, why not?
yeah, we'll love them more than the poor budgie.
Oh my god, yeah.
It is the hookup on Triple J. Talking pet friendly dates, Sharam Namdarian is my guest today. And if you want to ask a few questions about pet friendly dates, get in touch 0439 757 555. We've been hearing about how much a pet can be like a good judge of character. If you want to bring a pet to a first date, can it work as a bit of a litmus test, both in terms of how your pet feels about the person you're dating, but also the other way around?
100%. Like, there's obviously like, well, does your pet like them? But more specifically, like, does that person that you are going on the date with, can they handle that? For example, if they are someone who has an ulterior motive, you bringing a pet along might show you some of their red flags. Like if you're like, oh, I need to bring my dog along or whatever, it's just, I've got to, I love the guy, but I got to bring him. He needs his walk. It's like, and they're like, whoa, I thought it was just going to be us. Like, what's up with that? You can sort of you can learn more about a person by how they react to you bringing the pet along. And so like, it might, be the first few dates or things like that. Later on, if you wouldn't necessarily want to bring the pet along, it's like, that's fine. But on the first date, it can be a really good judge of character to see how they respond to it. It's just like anything. It's like, oh, do you want to meet up at this bar and see how they respond to that? Or do you want to, like, these little tests, not necessarily conscious tests, because I like to go from the position that we're just expressing ourselves, but these things do show us more about the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, how might a pet cause, we're talking about how pets can really help and be super wonderful on dates and do exactly that, like indicate good character. But how might a pet cause issues on a date? Like, can pets distract from connecting with someone?
Yeah, that's it's a good question. It's almost like sort of like the cliche, like dinner and a movie. Like you're watching the movie, then you don't really get enough time to connect. If the whole thing ends up becoming about the particular pet, you might actually end up spending less time actually connecting as a couple or as a whatever you might be. So therefore, the relationship sort of has less foundations. On the other hand, that might be what the couple might need. For example, if someone's anxious, it's like, oh my God, it's just enough for that person just to be out with someone, for example. So having the pet there, it can be, I always say, like, this stuff is nuanced. Sometimes it's down to the people, sometimes it's down to the situation. But yeah, it can be a distraction. It can take away from the foundation. But at the same time, for certain people, it might be the best thing that ever happened to them. because they are like clutching on with all dear might to their pet, and it's like it really helps them alleviate some of their anxiety, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes the pet can steal the show, though. Like on
Yeah.
Instagram, Steph says, I agreed to go on a date just to meet the person's 5-month-old puppy. We've also got, people going like using their pets as wingmen. Vanessa says, my dog was a wingman on a bunch of my COVID walking dates during the lockdown in Melbourne. I found the dates more fun, but I was probably a bit distracted from the date watching the dog play and run around. I guess, Sharam, it's just about knowing what you actually want to get out of the date, and whether that distraction is going to be welcome or not.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's, that it can be a distraction, but it doesn't have to be. And sometimes as well, it's like, well, if the relationship couldn't break past that distraction, maybe it wasn't the best, if that makes sense. Like we can justify it, like, oh, I brought the dog along and it wasn't the best. And it's like, maybe it wasn't going to be the best even with the dog not there, and it was the blessing that there was a distraction. So there's different nuances for this particular thing.
Absolutely. It is the hookup on Triple J. Tonight we are talking about pets and dating, how they can be a help and how they can maybe be a bit of a distraction or a hindrance, how they can be a good judge of character too. 1300 055 36. Do you trust your pets to be a good judge of character when you're dating someone new? Dylan in the Central Coast, you had to win over a particularly interesting kind of pet.
Yeah, I did. Hey, guys. So I had, when I introduced my boyfriend to my geese, I had to make sure that he was willing to, be able to be their friends, and that the geese were going to be pretty cool with them. So, yeah.
And how did your partner win over the geese?
So pretty much, I take my geese to competitions and I take them to shows. They're pretty fancy.
Amazing.
So I got him to come out. We went camping. We went out to this showground. As we're taking the birds in to get them all pretty for the show, I just put one in his hand and I'm like, here you go. Do me proud. He did all right with it. He gave it a hug and said hello to it, became friends. No bites, no punches, no biffos between the two of them. So, he pretty much gets a tick of approval from them, I think.
Oh, that's fabulous. Because geese are pretty aggro when they want to be, right?
When they want to be, yeah. So I generally think that they're pretty good judges of character. Mainly if somebody's threatening to them, if somebody is going to pose an issue, a goose will turn around and be, nah, mate, I don't like you. I can beat you in this fight. And they'll have a go. Two males, they'll have a big spar. So if somebody's a threat, they know how to latch on with their beaks and give them a good whack. But they definitely put up a fight.
Wow. And so like still your partner, right? Does he like help out with getting ready for shows and get involved with the geese now? Is he a bit of a stage dad?
Yeah, so starting to. I'm actually I actually went and bought some chickens for him today so he can start breeding his own little babies and start taking them along to the show with me. So whether that's the new strong foundation for our relationship, hopefully I can put it in concrete with some chickens and some geese.
I am losing it. This is so cute. But also the fact that it's like good that you guys are in different categories. Like, you're not like competing against each other, like who's got the best goose,
It means that we're together competing against everybody else on a broader scale.
I love that. Oh my God, that's so wholesome. Dylan, thank you so much for sharing that story. Sharam, there you go. Maybe make like a pet show could be a particularly great date.
I was loving that just because when you said fancy geese, I was thinking of a goose with a little bow tie, and that's the image that was going on in my head.
A little bow tie causing a little bit of mischief. Oh, so cute. We are talking about pets and dating. Sharam, before I let you go, I want to talk about the power of a pet in a dating profile because as Alita was saying earlier, like a few people do things like dog fishing where they like borrow a dog to look good in their profile. Do you think like having an animal or a pet in your profile picture is a good move? Is it savvy? Is it going to get you extra matches? And can it be disingenuous if it's not actually your animal?
Look, yes, it can be disingenuous. I always like to think there's someone for everyone. But having a pet in your dating profile tends to be a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason, because if it works, it works. It's like it's the I guess the common, for example. If you're gonna use a pet that's not yours and you deny that, like, I would say that's when it comes off as disingenuine. Is that negative? Well, it's down to the person. You know, you can own it, or you can show off that maybe you've clearly got some issues. You're like, why are you denying that? What have you got to hide, for example? There's some red flags right there. But if someone asks you and you're like, yeah, that's not my pet, or someone like, oh, that's a cute dog, and you're like, yes, that was it's my best friend's dog. Isn't he great? Like, that can be a way to connect. It doesn't always have to be your pet. Just as long as you own whoever's pet it is, like, you've got nothing to hide. That's the thing when it comes to dating and relationships. It's like we want to assume you're lovable as you are, so you've naturally got nothing to hide. So if you trying to hide a pet, or like whose pet that is, that's when it comes off as disingenuous, and that's when it might raise some red flags of other people.
Yeah. So apart from the red flags, let's just say it is actually your pet, or you are admitting it's someone else's. What can that, we're saying it's a cliche, but it works. Why does it work? Like, what can having an animal with you in your profile picture communicate to a potential partner?
Well, it means you're sort of like, it's like you're doing something with your life. That's one of the things. The other thing is, like, you can connect with a creature, you can look after it. There's a sense of responsibility. Also, people just love pets. People love dogs, people love cats. And if they share that commonality, they're extraordinarily cute. It opens up avenues. The phrase is like the path of least resistance. Like, it creates an avenue in which people can connect. It's like, oh my God, I love your dog, rather than you're a stranger, I have no idea who you are. There's a story once where I remember talking to someone just randomly. I can't remember what I was doing. And this person was very standoffish towards me. And I was like, if I was a dog, would you have been really nice to me? And they were like, yes, actually, yes. And we connected. But I was very baffled by that. I was like, oh, it's because sometimes humans are scary.
That's true. For good reason, though.
Yeah, for good reason, yeah. But a dog is just like, hey, what's up? I'm a dog. A cat, I'm a cat.
Some dogs are scary, but
some dogs are, yeah.
We're talking about nice dogs, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, we're assuming.
And yeah, like, some animals really do like break that ice and provide that interest. Rose got in touch with us on our Instagram and said, my now partner messaged me about my DP with my snakes, and we've been talking ever since. Like, if you have an interesting pet, then you can turn around and say, what the heck's going on there? Love that. Yeah. Really getting some really great insight and advice. Sharam Namdarian, we've got to wrap it up, but thank you so much for being with us tonight in The Hookup.
Right, thank you for having me.
The Hookup.
If guys